Hi, everyone. My name is Stacy Shoemaker-Rowan. I'm the editor-in-chief of Hospitality Design magazine. As we all know, travelers and guests are more connected than before, and as a result, they expect the same level of technology they use in their homes as in their hotels that they stay in, and that proves to be a challenge. So that's why we partnered with Legrand to bring you today's CEU accredited webinar, How to Improve the Hotel Guest Experience with Smart Design. Your presenter today is Nancy Snyder, Senior Manager of Hospitality Sales at Legrand North America. She leads the market development activities and grows the sales of electrical products, lighting controls, and room management systems in North America by establishing executive-level relationships with large hotel chains, as well as the largest developers and owners of hotel properties. She began engaging with the hospitality market in her previous role with the Adorne collection by Legrand. She's amazing, and we will be doing a Q&A at the end of her presentation, so please type in your questions in the Questions and Answers tab of the chat box on your screen. So without further ado, I will stop talking, and I give you Nancy. Nancy?
Thank you, Stacy. That was a wonderful introduction and very humbling, but thank you, and thank you to HD Magazine. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for taking time to join me today. I am so glad you're here, and design is very critical to the guest experience when it comes to hospitality, as we all know, but now it goes beyond beautiful furnishings, a great location, and even a top-rated rooftop bar. Technology is now part of the equation. Technology is an equally important element and a key factor in smart design. So let's get started on this journey. This is me. Stacy did such a great job introducing me. I won't go into any real big detail, but just a little bit of background before I joined Legrand. I've worked in the hospitality, commercial, and residential design industries for many years. I had the privilege of working for companies such as Cont and Tout, Larson, Knoll, and even the Edelman family while I was with Edelman Leather. And these companies certainly know how to do beautiful, elegant design. I've been with Legrand for over 6 years, working in the market development areas, as Stacy had mentioned. And I work with the major brands. I work a lot with the Marriotts and the Hiltons of the world. In fact, next week I'll be at the Marriott Owners Conference in San Diego, so if anybody is there, please stop in to see us. My entire team will be there. And if our paths haven't crossed yet, I hope they do in the future. It's a small world, and this hospitality industry is even smaller. So let's get started on the real meat and why we're all together today. So here's some learning objectives, and I really appreciate you spending an hour of your day with us on this call. And obviously we can't get really deep into the technology or the topic, but here's my commitment to you in learning objectives. We'll talk about what is a smart hotel and why is it now even more important to the brands, hotel owners, and of course the myriad guests that stay on their properties. We'll uncover how a smart hotel will change the way a hotel is run and managed, and of course initially designed. And then we'll look at some of the leading technology that's available today, kind of the pros and cons, and what the future holds. And lastly, how to get started incorporating smart hotel technology and functionality into your design or your brand. I hope that really is meeting the expectations of the call today. So it really did start in our homes. I'm sure the devices that you see on the screen here are familiar to you in one way or another. You may use one or another. But today we are becoming more and more reliant on information technology in our homes. It all began with our smartphone and its connection capabilities. And now new products are flooding the market for our homes, especially this time of year, giving us voice-activated access to information, controlling and managing our living spaces, and scheduling our lives. And hopefully that's in a good way to make us more comfortable and more efficient. Voice-activated devices can and will at some time control almost everything from door locks to motorized shades, from adaptive lighting controls to HVAC. I know I have Nest in my house, and I can turn the temperature on when I'm 300 miles away. It's pretty amazing. And get ready, there's more on the horizon, including smart toilets, showers, and smart mirrors. Those are out today. But think about elevators and certainly guest entertainment and experiences, all in part available today in one way or another, but even becoming more and more integrated. So just imagine what will come after that. It's pretty amazing and almost daunting. So smart homes have transformed the way we live. And it really did start in our homes, and there's no question that smart homes are transforming the way we live today and certainly in the future. Intel estimates that the number of connected devices will grow to a projected 200 billion. That's billion with a B by 2020. If you think about that, it equates to 26 smart objects for every human being on the planet. That includes your kids, if you're a parent, and your parents, and yes, even your grandparents. You have to admit that's pretty mind-boggling. So here's a man on the street. He's actually my boss. His name's Ken Freeman, and he's one of our Legrand executives, and he travels a lot. And he was pretty instrumental in the guest room of the future work that we did with Marriott and Samsung. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but about 18 months ago, we partnered with both Samsung and Marriott to do a guest room of the future down in their underground area. It was a prototype concept, and it was pretty amazing. So, as I said, Ken travels about 40 weeks a year and is no stranger to the hotel experience. His comments and his quote here really highlight that homes are ahead of the curve when it comes to embracing technology. So let's read Ken's, or I'll read it to you. It says, previously, people would stay at a hotel and expect a unique experience with exposure to technology they wouldn't have in their home. Now it's reversed. We have more tech at home than in the hotel room, changing our expectations. And that's so true. I know when I have technology, I have Google and Nest and all sorts of things in my home. And I can turn off the lights from the bed. I just tell Alexa to turn off the lights, and they go off. And then I tell her to turn them on, and they go on. And then I go stay at a hotel, because I do travel a lot, and I get into bed and realize I have to get out of bed now to turn off the lights. So we really do have expectations at home that when we travel, we do expect to see that there. So if you use any type of technology in your home, whether it be a thermostat or voice activation, you get very accustomed to the convenience and expect that convenience and level of control when traveling. So the technology and the benefits it brings to us at home is definitely expected at the hotel. And as a recap, people are more tech savvy now than ever. We expect things to respond faster and with expedited service on just about everything. Yes, I guess you can say some of us, we've grown kind of impatient and are more demanding of faster service and response. And we rely on our connected devices that are everywhere in our homes. It is the Internet of Things, or IoT, that addresses the technology-enabled disruption that hotels and designers need to address within their projects and on their properties. So let's get into really what defines a smart hotel and what makes it smart. So smart hotels involve the adoption of connected devices and IoT technology, and that's Internet of Things, that creates a seamless but personalized and intuitive guest experience. Smart hotels can access and utilize information that is personalized by each guest through user preference and opt-in selection. So no need to worry if that's something you are not comfortable with or the guest is not comfortable with. There will always be an opt-in feature to this. For hoteliers, Smart hotels and smart technologies provide operating efficiencies, resulting in increasing revenue and decreasing expenses. It's what all owners work to achieve, and success is measured by. It is estimated that through the integration of IoT technology, there can be as much as a 25 to 40% reduction in energy consumption in a smart property using IoT technology. And as I said, for a hotel owner or management company, that's key. So what is the Internet of Things? And not to get, I am not a technologist, so I'm not going to get really deep in the weeds in this, but I'm always amazed when I do go present to a hotel owner and I start talking about IoT, and I could see the eyes starting to roll back in their heads, and they'll ask, what is IoT? So I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the Internet of Things. And IoT is really a network of uniquely identifiable endpoints, or things, if you will, that contain embedded technology to sense, collect, communicate, and exchange data locally or with external environments without any human intervention. So that's really what that's all about. It enables connections between digital things, allowing them to collect and act on the information. It is due to this cloud-based interconnectivity of things like smartphones and voice assistants that consumers or guests are bringing more IoT devices into their homes, businesses, and yes, guest rooms. So this is a little graphic here. Although very complex, it shows the basic components of IoT technology and showing that they're fairly simple. So here's a simplified demonstration of how IoT works. Oh, and then it's not going to work for us today. But you have a remote, like a smartphone or voice assistant, which sends a command to operate a device. The command communicates with the internet, which interprets the command. And then the internet sends the command to a router via Wi-Fi or other communication protocol. And then the IoT hub, also known as the gateway, receives the data from the router and then sends it to the proper IoT device, which operates it according to the command. The connected device then sends data back through the hub, the router, and the internet. Servers analyze this information and sends the information back to the remote or other IoT programs. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. It's just kind of sending commands and information and data. That's really boiling down very, very elementary, but that's really how it works. So how are smart hotels? How will they change the way how will smart hotels change the way hotels are managed and designed? So the hospitality industry is experiencing many changes by various influencing factors. And you'll look, definitely the millennials, that's definitely changing the way hotels are being designed, where they're being built, and what's being offered. You'll notice the guest rooms are getting a little smaller. Some brands are taking the desks out of the guest rooms because people want to be around other people and they want to work downstairs. So lobbies are being transformed into lobbies, and public spaces that turn into bars and all sorts of things. So the millennial generation and the generations to come after that definitely changing the way the hospitality industry is being designed. Airbnb, that's certainly a huge competitive factor that hotel owners are concerned about. It's probably the #1 factor that they worry about, more so than, Hilton worries about Airbnb more than I think they worry about Marriott. And definitely the influx of international travelers is key. That's something you have to think about when you design a guest room, and certainly design a bathroom, about who is going to be using this space. Health and wellness is certainly a key issue. If you look at a brand like Westin, which is, used to be a Starwood brand, now part of Marriott. That's one of their core goals, is to address wellness and health, and certainly things like human-centric lighting plays into that. And technology, we're talking about technology today. The one thing about technology, if it is in a hotel and certainly guest room, it has to be simple. It's got to be intuitive, and it has to work. If it's not intuitive, if a guest can't turn on the lights or turn off the lights when they're ready to go to sleep, that technology is a failure. And then sustainability. That's very key to most brands. I know Marriott has a huge initiative going on about sustainability, and certainly I think every hotel owner I know is concerned about that, to be good to the earth and have a smaller footprint. So these are some of the trends that are definitely impacting the hospitality industry, and they kind of all ebb and flow. One becomes more important than the other, and they do change over time, but this is really what's front and center at this point. So although the brands are becoming more knowledgeable when it comes to technology, and data, Marriott's certainly working with guest room of the future, and certainly Hilton is working with their connected guest room. The owners really need to rely on partners to develop a good plan to move forward. They're not necessarily technology experts, so they look to outside people, outside partners, third-party companies. And these third-party companies should be recruited to handle things like security and privacy issues that are top of mind for everyone, owners and certainly guests. And by partnering with these multiple leaders in hotel technology, smart hotels can kind of layer the technologies together that speak easily to each other, and ultimately the end goal is to create a positive guest experience that will make the guests feel at ease and ensure their privacy and protection is paramount, and provide a memorable, personalized guest experience. So to personalize the stay, smart hotels can access a secure user profile from guests that choose to opt in, and then the profile will contain individual guest preferences to customize the experience they want during their stay. This can include the media they watch, what they listen to, and other interactions that occur during the stay, such as temperature in the room, what beverages and snacks may be in the mini bar upon arrival, and other concierge services all in place before the guest arrives. So everything is in place, the room is ready, and the guest arrives on property. Hotel properties can really no longer afford to ignore the prevalence of mobile devices and connectivity. Easy access to outlets and USB ports for charging solutions aren't merely conveniences anymore, they're necessities. And this is where my company really does excel. What's more, the future of hotel design suggests a comprehensive power and charging solution that will align with these high-tech features guests will expect, including smartphone technologies in room, touchscreen amenities, and intelligent lighting systems. So what are hotel guests really looking for? According to a recent survey conducted online within the U.S. by Harris Poll on behalf of Legrand, lack of convenient charging is a primary concern for 74% of hotel guests. I don't know about you, but when I enter my guest room after traveling all day, the first thing I do is, where am I going to charge my cell phone? And if I have to crawl under the desk or move the nightstand or end up charging my phone in the bathroom, that's not a good guest experience. Additionally, on the survey, 83% of hotel guests find it frustrating when there isn't an outlet available directly by the bed or nightstand, because we all use I can't I don't even know the last time I used an alarm clock in a hotel. So I rely on my cell phone, which I want to have next to my bed, to wake me up in the morning. So what hotels are looking for are for in-furniture solution, whether it's at the desk, the headboard, or restaurant, for convenient access to connectivity and power. As I said, guests don't want to have to crawl underneath the desk or move the bedside or unplug whatever so that they can charge their phone. And what good is free Wi-Fi if you don't have power on your device? So what leading technology is going to be part of the smart hotel in the future? Here are examples of some of the features that guests will see in the near future at a smart hotel. They include every aspect of running the hotel, from enhancing the guest experience to staff management, certainly housekeeping, and the physical operating costs of the hotel. Let's look at some of these features a little bit more closely. Voice activation. It allows the guest to use simple commands like Marriott, get my car from the valet, make up my room, order room service, check out. This can be all voice activated, which is ultra convenient, or you can do it through the TV, but it's so convenient. You don't want to have to go downstairs and stand in line and get your folio to check out. You want to take care of this in your room. Other things like entertainment options, controlling the room temperature, and other guest services that are easy to access, easy to use, and easy to control. Motorized blinds. I was at a property a couple of weeks ago in New York City where I literally had to crawl over the bed to shut the blinds in my room and then crawl back to the foot of the bed to plug in my phone. Not the best guest experience. So whether it's a motorized blind or drapery, voice activation is a great benefit for the guest and certainly the owner. The convenience factor for guests is huge and certainly essential for ADA accessible rooms. The benefits for management are measurable, including energy savings and carbon migration. So unoccupied rooms, the blinds can automatically close, and when a guest is ready to check in and going up, the blinds can go up. So it's a very nice welcoming scene when the guest enters the room. Adaptive lighting controls. I guess one of the biggest complaints I have, and I hear from owners, that guests complain about the lighting level in guest rooms especially. In many cases, hotel lighting is inadequate and the color temperature is far from complementary. Adaptive lighting controls will allow the guest to control the lights from across the room or program them in advance of their stay. And this is especially true for international guests. Guests from Asia like a different color temperature than guests from the United States, so they can change that at some point in the future. So guests will be able to program lighting scenes for reading, for setting maybe a romantic mood if you're on a honeymoon or a little vacation, or to help them slowly awaken in the morning and wind down after a busy day based on circadian rhythms. It can also provide pathway lighting to ensure well-lit navigation, certainly in an unfamiliar room, especially helpful in the middle of the night, using the right color temperature. So if you have to get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, it's not going to wake you up and then your good night's sleep is out the window. Again, this is all about a specialized, personalized guest experience. So most rooms at a hotel and in a good hotel set a mood that's the cornerstone for a pleasant guest experience. Good lighting is essential for health and well-being, and by using IoT technology, smart lighting, and human-centric lighting, a guest experience is created that makes the most of our circadian rhythm, taking into account CCT, which is correlated color temperature, SPD, which is spectral power distribution, and exposure to natural light. High quality lighting also enhances the room finishes and colors. So the royal blue that you painstakingly specified in the custom duvet looks royal blue and not some form of purple. So lighting is extremely important to the guest experience and certainly to the overall design of the room. Connected door entry. Many guests just want to get into their room and without having to stand at the front desk to get their little key card. So why not make it seamless? And with a connected door entry, guests can check in online, select their room, and just skip the whole front desk, go right up to the room and enter the room at their convenience. Nothing worse than getting a card key, going up to your room, going to the door, and the thing doesn't work, and you have to go downstairs to get another one. This totally eliminates that problem. We talked about smart toilets. Yep, they're coming. In fact, you go over to Japan, or you see them here, these amazing toilets that do just about everything. And what's better than a voice-activated, touchless interaction with a hotel toilet? Especially one with all the latest features, like I said, temperature, air freshening, and even flush options. And for a real advantage, smart toilets manage overflow problems, helping both guests and hotel management. If you have an overflow in a bathroom, that's not only going to take out that room, but it's probably going to take out the room below it and maybe the room below that. So for a hotel owner, a smart toilet is more than just really nice and comfortable, but it really helps them manage their property. And smart mirrors. I mean, Electric Mirror has one. There's several brands out there now, and they function. They're terrific, and they can function as a second command center in a smart room. Amazon Alexa can be built into the mirror, and guests can listen or read the news, get the weather forecast. You can read your email on them. It's just amazing what you can do. It's really the concierge in your room. And lighting can also be adjusted for evening or daylight, and motion sensing can help guests navigate safely in an unfamiliar space, all within this smart mirror. At this point, they're pretty pricey, but I think, as with everything, we're going to start seeing the price of these things come down. And then smart showers. So for the hotel management company, they can better conserve water consumption and energy with smart shower technology. And for guests, you can personalize your water temperature, your steam options, and flow rates with voice commands. Perfect way to start your day on a property. Common spaces. Common spaces are becoming more and more popular, certainly an area of a hotel property that you as a designer can have more leeway in designing. So, we've talked a lot about the guest room, but let's look at the public spaces. According to the Hotel Interactive report, 36% of millennials responded that they prefer to work in the lobby area, compared to 17% of us, I'm including me here, not anybody on the call, but the older generations. This is a great area to do a lot of great design work in the lobby. You have to definitely include charging stations, power, furniture that can be moved around, can transform. So areas that look like, as I said, a lobby in the daytime, look like a bar in the evening or a social area. So lots of really nice leeway here in the common spaces. And the outdoors. We often think of a pool or a rooftop bar as an area to sit down and relax and have a good time, but 27% of hotel guests would use an outdoor space more if there were outdoor power available. And half of hotel guests wish they had access to outdoor power stations when they're at a pool area or a rooftop bar. So in this area, you really have to think about the guest sitting, spending more time, and for a hotel owner, that's music to their ears, because if a guest is sitting down, spending more time at the rooftop bar or at the pool, they're going to be drinking more and eating more, so the food and beverage revenue just jumps up substantially if the guest knows that they can sit and charge their phone or plug in their laptop and just relax. So in these areas, you definitely want to have access to power and also USB. And right now, most people are using USB, regular USB, but USB-C ports are coming now, and those are a universal opening that people can not only charge their cell phones, but also their computers. So outdoor spaces, whether it be, like I said, rooftop bar, poolside, or garden area, definitely want to think about how the guest is going to use this space, how the hotel is going to use the space, and allow for power and charging. I have to apologize. I'm not able to move my screen. Okay, so let's, next slide, please. So today's guests travel with laptops, tablets, smartphones, and if they're traveling with children, the device count goes up. I mean, most people travel with about 3 to 4 devices each. So the last thing a guest wants to do after a long day of travel is to search for power sources in their room. So definitely you want to have power and charging in as many places as possible. And at Legrand, we offer these options in very nice looking features. So different types of wall plates and different types of finishes in the devices, but think about integrating that into furniture, at the desk, at the bedside table, and you can put it horizontally now if it's spill tested, spill-proof tested. So definitely put these devices, whether it be an outlet and a USB, wherever a guest is sitting down and definitely at the headboard, because that's where they're using their device as an alarm clock and that. So next slide, please. So one thing in terms of the evolution of furniture power, and at Legrand we're doing a lot of that now. We're integrating power and charging into furniture. One thing we're seeing starting to become very popular is master switching, and that's by code. And that's if you're calling in from California, you're probably very familiar with Title 24. And then there's other codes, electrical codes by jurisdiction, which ASHRAE requires the power and lights to turn off after 30 minutes. So these are things that you as a designer or a hotel owner really need to come up to speed on, because it will impact where you put switching and where you put lamps, and you have to think about this is going to shut down after 30 minutes, and how is the guest, when they enter the room, they're going to hit hopefully a master switch, so the lights will go on in the room and the guest does not need to enter a dark room. So master switching is becoming more prevalent for guest experience because it does help. You enter the room, you turn on your master switch. Not all the lights go on, but as I said, you're not going to enter a dark room. Master switching at the headboard is even better because you get into bed, and if you don't have voice activation, you do want to have a master switch next to you in bed so that you don't have to get up and go to the entryway to turn off that light, or turn off the table lamp at the desk, or turn off the light in the bathroom. And as I said, it's Title 24, ASHRAE and IECC codes that are requiring this master switching. And if you have any questions about these codes and what they all mean to the design of a guest room, whether you'd be you're a designer or a hotel owner, just reach out to me or anyone in my company, and we'll be happy to explain what these codes all mean. And then, of course, you always want to check with the local jurisdiction in your area where the property is or being built or remodeled to make sure that you're code compliant. So next slide, please. So regardless of where charging is offered, it needs to work. Devices play a large role in the hotel experience, especially in the guest room, where in-room services for booking, whether it be in-room services from booking to in-room charging. So if you do offer outlets and USBs, they have to be fast charging. Nothing worse than plugging in your iPad and it sits for 3 hours and it's still at 20%. So if you're using any type of device, it doesn't have to be from Legrand, just make sure that it's durable, it's code compliant, it's not something that's really designed to be used in a residential setting. It needs to be a commercial setting, but it's also durable. I've been in some hotel properties where I've plugged in my power cord and it just kind of falls out, so the retention of the outlet is not working. So really have to think about, you get what you pay for sometimes on some of these devices, so you want to make sure it works, but also is going to work 3 years down the road or 5 years down the road and is durable. Next slide, please. So incorporating good design is easy when it comes to power and charging. It needs to be key, especially if you're putting in beautiful furniture or even on the walls. So beauty does matter with switches and outlets. I know for many, many years that wasn't even anything most designers even thought about. I mean, it was kind of like what plumbing used to be. A designer wouldn't pick out what faucets or showers were in a bathroom. And for many, many years, designers wouldn't select what was on the wall and certainly not what was integrated into a headboard in terms of outlets. But it's really something that you need to think about because it needs to be aesthetically pleasing. It's the first thing a guest does when they walk in a room is they turn on the light. So they're interacting with that light switch or the switch that's on the wall. And then, of course, we know they all go look for places to charge. So it's something you need to think about, and definitely a screwless wall plate is preferred over one that shows exposed screws. So definitely think about what's going on the wall and what the guest is interacting with multiple times throughout their stay. Next slide, please. So we're not going to go, this is the Marriott IoT guest room that we, Legrand and Samsung and several other vendors worked on about 1.5 years ago. And this was a proof of concept guest room, putting ideas and new thinking together for the first time. We got together with Marriott and came up with this kind of crazy idea of what would be the guest journey for a highly installed tech room, from the elevator knowing that you were coming within 3 feet of it, and we just had a really good idea, testing some crazy ideas that will hopefully at some point in time fundamentally change the way hotels operate and how guests utilize these technologies. You know, no check-in, your favorite foods are on the menu, toiletries waiting, your personalized toiletries waiting for your arrival. Lighting is exactly the way you like it, and your media to your taste. One thing we did here, it was really kind of fun. We had the smart mirror in the room, but we also were able to, if you were a family of a husband and wife with 2 children, your children's pictures appeared in the art room, in the artwork in the room. So really personalize the whole guest experience. We actually worked with 3 personas. One was this family with 2 children, one was a business traveler, and one was a business traveler who was also spending some personal time after business was ended. So we came up with these 3 personas in this guest room and really personalized the space based on who these folks were and their profiles. Lots of really interesting activity here, and we certainly learned a lot, and we'll see some of these ideas implemented in the near future, so keep an eye out for that. So next slide, please. So yeah, we talked about the personalized guest experience, and that certainly improves service consistency, creating more loyal customers. That's really, with hospitality, if you offer the guest a personalized guest experience that is unforgettable, you're going to have a loyal customer. And every guest will experience room continuity like never before, with fewer complaints, hopefully, about maintenance and service issues. And hoteliers can now better manage staff and physical property. So how do we get started with this technology? So there's really kind of what we say is 8 steps. So step 1 is we suggest you go out and interview vendors to understand their capabilities. Obviously, Legrand is one, and we hope you reach out to us, but there are many out there, and we suggest that you go out and really interview them and understand where they are today and what their plan is for the future. Step 2, definitely be proactive in protecting guest privacy with IoT features such as voice assistant. That is so key. If your guests don't feel comfortable, if your owners don't feel comfortable, then it's not going to work. So it has to be easy to use, it has to be secure, and it has to work. Step 3, engage IT and engineering in the discussion and understand how technology can improve ROI. Step 4 is to confirm that the plan that you have, the plan that you're thinking about, really fits into a long-term scalable approach. A lot of owners, a lot of brands are starting out small or on a smaller scale and then adding to as technology improves. Technology is moving so quickly, it almost, people don't want to jump in all in at this point, but maybe dip their toes in and add on as technology changes. So whatever you're planning now, you want to think about 5 years down the road, and is it something that you can add on to or change without just throwing everything out and starting from ground zero. So it's got to be scalable, and that's something that when you're interviewing people, whether it's the company like Legrand or an IT person, that they have that top of mind. You have next slide, please. So I think we actually went over this. Yeah, and I just did. So the step 5 is use IoT features that enhance the brand around wellness, technology, or resort focus. So if you're working on a Westin, it's definitely going to be something that is takes wellness into consideration. So lighting, really, really important. Exercise equipment in the room, really, really important. But I have to say, even if it's a brand, say for instance, like a Courtyard, what we're finding is that the Courtyards, what you're used to in a Courtyard, is really starting to change because all the other brands are upping the game a little bit. So now a brand like a Courtyard is needing to change what you expect to see in a Courtyard. So I think you have to think about what the brand is today, but where the brand is going. And if it's a boutique brand, certainly have to think about that as well. And as I said, have multiple vendors participate in the securing IoT deployment. When we worked with Marriott, we worked with Samsung, but we had many other vendors that were part of this first initiative because we we're not experts in lighting, so we wanted someone to come in that did have that expertise. And we found it to be very beneficial to have several parties participate and contribute to the conversation because they all brought certain strengths to the table. So I think that's a good plan to move forward. And again, consider your audience and what features can enhance their experience. So depending on where the property is located, you want to think about that. Think about who's the frequent guest there. If it's a foreign traveler because it's a property near an airport, you want to think about that. And then step 8 is understand how the brand integrates into IoT products to personalize the room and gain a better understanding of the guest experience. Next slide. So I work for Legrand, so I would not be doing my job if I didn't tell you to please visit our website to see what we have to offer and the expertise that we have in hospitality, not just from my perspective, but I have a whole team and many other people within our organization that have so much talent and knowledge. It's pretty unbelievable. And we've done a lot in the hospitality world. We have a whole team going to CES next year that get very deep in the weeds with technology and would love to talk with you. So please visit our site, and then we would love to come out and present to you. And it could be Pete Horton, who's kind of the whole leader of the IoT initiative at Legrand. He's a great guy and loves talking about what he's doing in IoT and guestroom of the future. And then we have a whole team working on master switching. So we're a company, if you're not familiar with Legrand, we have engineers, we have marketing people, we have industrial designers, we have salespeople. So lots of talent that you can rely on. If you need product samples, if you're working on a mock room, definitely reach out to us. We will send out samples for mock rooms. We feel it's very, very important for you to try, say, a master switch at the entry, or have your client or the owner take a look at how our product looks and functions. So very much hands-on. We understand that. So call us if you want samples to take a look at. We have, in our adorne collection, we have over 44 different wall plates to offer you, from Hubbardton hand-forged cast metals to plastic. So lots of options there, and really do reach out to us. And you can contact me. I think my information is available. Be more than happy to help you. Now, we did this presentation earlier, and we were at BDNY. So we're not there now, but we do go to all the major shows. As I said, I'll be at the Marriott Owners Conference next week. And then next year we typically go to HD Expo, BDNY, and we do a lot of the other different shows. And as I said, if we haven't met, please stop by. I'd love to meet all of you. So at this point, I think we've got about 10 minutes left for any questions or comments. Would love to hear from you.
Yes, thank you so much, Nancy. It's Stacy again from HD. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to type them in the questions and answers box, the chat box there. We did have a few questions that were sent beforehand, so I'll just dive into one right now, Nancy. You did mention it a little bit about integrating lighting with the millwork, but how have you dealt with the electrical codes, for the built-in electrical? People have been having troubles, especially with lighting and power.
Yeah, so what we do is we offer what we call furniture power centers, and these are pre-assembled units. So you have your devices with the bezel or faceplate, and these are closed units that are cord-ended. So the millwork or furniture manufacturer just does a cutout in the headboard or case goods, and then this unit just gets plugged in behind the case goods, and it really doesn't even need to be installed by an electrician. Usually the FF&E person can do the installation, and if you change out the headboard at some point, you just take this unit out and you can reuse it. So usually that's perfect. These are UL listed, no problems. The only challenge we see sometimes are in certain jurisdictions, such as Chicago, that don't necessarily allow these FPCs, furniture power centers. They don't like any cord-ended plug-in units, so these have to be hardwired. And these are all UL listed devices, so as long as an electrician is doing this work, that shouldn't run into any problems there.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. And the other question that just came in, actually, apart from smart showers, anything specific for faucets, accessories, grab bars, hooks, or finishes of the plumbing fittings that you've worked with?
So, that's a good question. We've worked with, we're working with Lixel toilets and showers in terms of temperature and with the toilet overflow. We really have, in faucets with the temperature, so it's been mostly temperature control, and then toilets with overflow. But we've not done anything with the grab bars with anything that Legrand has to impact or control. But I'm certain that's probably a great idea in terms of if maybe it's not an ADA room, it can turn into an ADA room depending on need in the for the hotel owner or the GM. But not done anything on that area, but it's an interesting area to look into.
Yeah, it could be a whole smart wet room.
Yeah.
And then another question just came in. Do you guys have pop-up outlets that are UL listed? Legrand. So we have something called the pop-out outlet, but I think this person is probably referring to something that sits horizontal on a table. Our pop-out, it has to be vertical. It's usually used in on a wall. We do have one called Decorum that's not pop-up but kind of opens at an angle, and that's available. But we are looking into one that I think this person that Julie is referring to, one that you press and it comes up from the table like a column, and that we're working on. The challenge with that type of device is that it has to be spill tested, so you have to dump gallons and gallons of water and make sure it doesn't short out. You want to make sure this stuff's safe, and you need to put a lot of electrical stuff and wiring in a small space, and that becomes a challenge. So we're working on that, so keep your eyes open in 2019 for something like that. But right now, when we refer to our pop-out, it's something that's on the, it's a device that's on the wall. You touch it, it pops out, and gives the guests 3 areas to plug in. Sometimes that's paired with 2 USBs and a 2-gang outlet or 2-gang wall plate, so it gives the guests 3 places to plug in and 2 places for charging. Great. And another pre-sent-in question was, with everything that you see, what is the #1 thing a guest expects in the hotel room to meet their modern technology demands? What do you think is the most important thing designers should pay attention to?
Well, it sounds so simple, but an outlet, but or a USB. Now, because I don't know about you, but sometimes I forget my little, I have my USB cord and my charging cord in it. Yeah. So if you can provide a USB, I think you're golden. I mean, it's so nice because let's face it, we rely on our phones I panic when I start losing power on my phone. I was on an airplane a couple of weeks ago and they didn't have any power, and I was on fumes, and of course I wasn't prepared, and I was in a panic. How am I going to drive to the hotel? I have to use Waze, and my phone is dying. And so I think it's simple. Keep it simple. That's what I always say, because simple is less is more, whatever. An outlet and USBs that are close to the bed, I think, is perfect. I can't imagine a guest wanting anything more than just simple outlets and USBs by the bed that you can see, that are convenient, and that work.
Yes, sometimes we have to remember it's the simple things in life. And I know you touched a little bit on this as well, but another question was, do you find that power-based needs vary with the service levels of hotel versus, lower end versus more luxury hotels? Do you see that across the board?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing the luxury brands want more sophisticated lighting controls. So scenes, so you can set a scene when you walk in. It could be a hello scene. It could be, we're seeing a little bit more in terms of lighting controls, automated lighting controls. And we have a product called Vantage that does allow for that. So, but you do have to keep in mind, even in a luxury property, that most guests stay in a hotel room 1.5 days. So again, if it's so complicated that the guest can't figure out how to turn on their light or turn it off, it's not helpful. I was at a roundtable discussion right after BDNY, and there were some great designers. Hopefully somebody's on the phone that was at this meeting, and R.D. Jones was there, Venus Williams with V-Star was there, and we were all talking about our experience as guests. And someone was on a luxury property somewhere, and she was saying she couldn't turn off the light in her room because the lighting control system in the room was great, but it was so sophisticated. She didn't want to have to read a manual, but she couldn't turn off the light, so she had to get on the phone, call downstairs to the front desk, and ask them how she could turn off the light so that she can go to sleep. So, as I said, to answer the question, I think we're seeing more lighting control, room control, in a luxury property because they're more expensive, obviously. But you're starting to see that in the lower end brands as well. And it'll change over time, but definitely more lighting control in the luxury segment.
Right, and
but they still need power and charging.
Yeah, exactly. And are you able to improve the guest experience with a tight budget? Are you seeing more options, that don't have to just be for luxury offerings?
Yeah, I mean although with tariffs things are going up in price, but
yeah,
I mean you can do something pretty basic. Right, I'm working with a extended stay brand right now that's certainly not a high end, and what we're doing is we're putting charging and power at the headboard, a duplex outlet, 2 USBs on both sides of the headboard, one in queen rooms. So it's basic, but it's still great convenience for the guest and leads to a great guest experience. Now, over time, they may change that out and put a USB-C and upgrade that a little bit, and maybe at some point in time they may put in master switching because they have to follow code. But you can start out very small and very simple, and it's really convenience. It's for guest convenience.
It all goes back to that, keeping it simple, getting everyone plugged in. Well, thank you so much. One comment came in that you should check out Simmons Plumbing, their new LOT water management system, so to make that beautiful smart room. So it's funny. I live in Massachusetts, and Simmons is right around the corner. So I know and I will check them out. And we actually have someone who just joined us from Simmons. So I will have to look. Like I said, we're always looking for partners. So I will definitely take that information and that suggestion to heart, and we'll make a call. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, again, thank you everyone who listened in to the webinar. I think it was super helpful. And thank you, Nancy and Legrand, for partnering with us on this. Again, I think it will be really useful for designers moving forward. So thank you all, and hope to talk to you all soon.